Hello, you're watching Afghanews with Mohsen Jamal. Kabul has begun assuming full ownership of 7 of its 34 provinces as part of the transition process that will put Afghans in charge of their country, the Afghan UN ambassador said Wednesday. Zahir Tanin told the UN Security Council meeting that the post-Bin Laden era has begun in his country, which he described as the greatest victim of terrorism, which is today at a critical juncture in its quest for peace and stability. Tanin said the first stage in the transition process from foreign-led security to Kabul Authority has begun in 7 provinces and municipalities, which are Kabul, Panjshir, Bamiyan, and the cities of Herat, Mazar-e-Sharif in Balkh province, Mehtarlam and Lashkargah in Helmand province. Meanwhile, German ambassador Peter Wittig, the council president for July, said the transition will be gradual and condition-based, according to an agreement between Kabul and NATO, warning that violence has continued in Afghanistan while the security transition is underway. The top UN envoy in Afghanistan says the country's transition to handling its own security and development is on track. But Stefan de Mistura told the UN Security Council Wednesday the international community must assure Afghanistan that it will not be abandoned in 2014 when the NATO-led alliance is scheduled to hand over security to Afghans. The UN Special Envoy also said that security generally is improving in Afghanistan, making it a favorable time to transfer power to the Kabul government and hold peace talks with the Taliban. De Mistura declared that Afghanistan finds itself at a special crossroad despite a spate of recent attacks that have left scores dead in recent weeks, and there exists the perception of an improvement, which is true. Britain will pull an extra 500 soldiers from Afghanistan next year, British Prime Minister David Cameron told his country's parliament Wednesday, cutting the number of British troops here to 9,000. The relatively small number of troops being withdrawn reflects the difficulty of cementing gains in a decade-long war against the Taliban that has grown increasingly unpopular with British voters. Cameron plans to end Britain's combat role by the end of 2014, leaving some troops behind to train and mentor their Afghan counterparts. Cameron said Britain would help set up an all-for training academy for Afghans as part of an enduring major strategic relationship. A planned U.S. troop withdrawal from Afghanistan will start slowly this summer, with about 800 soldiers and 2 army units due to depart this month, U.S. officers said Wednesday. The military offered the first details of the troop drawdown after President Barack Obama announced in June plans to pull out 10,000 forces this year and another 23,000 by the end of September in 2012. Lieutenant General David Rodriguez, deputy commander of the NATO-led force in Afghanistan, told reporters via video link from Kabul that 2 army units, including 1 in Kabul, would be finishing their tours this month and would not be replaced by other troops. Both units are part of the Iowa National Guard's 2nd Infantry Brigade combat team. Obama ordered a surge of 30,000 additional troops to Afghanistan in 2009 to try to turn the tide of the war, but vowed to begin pulling them out this year. A NATO airstrike has killed at least 14 civilians, including 8 children, in the eastern province of Khost, local police say. But NATO said 4 Taliban members had been killed in the strike and that it was investigating reports of civilian casualties. The deadly raid came a day after 2 children were reportedly killed in a separate airstrike in southwest Ghazni province. The killing of civilians by foreign troops is a major source of friction between President Hamid Karzai and his Western backers and has soured the feelings of many ordinary Afghans towards foreign forces. NATO says a helicopter with the US-led coalition has crashed in East Afghanistan, but no one was hurt. The coalition says there were no injuries and the crew was recovered after the crash on Thursday in Parwan province. NATO says the cause of the incident is under investigation. The Taliban claimed its fighters shot down the helicopter, but the coalition says initial reporting indicates that there was no militant activity in the area at the time of the crash. This comes a day after all 9 crew aboard an Azerbaijani cargo plane that crashed into treacherous mountains overnight in the same province have been killed, the transport ministry said on Wednesday. Indian media says at least 40 people have been killed in the north of the country in a collision between a train and a bus carrying wedding guests at a railway crossing in the early hours of Thursday. The crossing in the Itar town of Uttar Pradesh state was unmanned and did not have a gate. Recounting the tragedy, survivors of the accident accused the bus driver of speeding towards the railway crossing even as they saw a train approaching. Local media reported that the bus was carrying a total of 80 passengers and the injured were taken to a local hospital, while officials said the exact cause of the accident was yet to be determined. The network of state-run Indian Railways carries close to 30 million passengers every day but has a patchy safety record. At least 11 people have been killed and 8 wounded in 2 attacks in southern Yemen. Al-Qaeda is suspected to have carried out an ambush that killed 10 soldiers on Wednesday, according to a Yemeni military official. The fighters opened fire on the vehicle in which the soldiers were traveling near the southern city of Lode in Abyan province, killing them all except the driver, who was wounded. Later during the day, 1 person was killed and 7 others injured after a rocket hit a bus in the city of Taiz, which was apparently fired at a local sheikh's home but missed its target. Rebels in Libya's western mountains have advanced a dozen kilometers, seizing a town in another step towards securing a key north-south route that would open the way to the capital Tripoli. The rebels arrested the town of Al-Khawalish from forces loyal to leader Muammar Gaddafi after a roughly 6-hour battle on Wednesday. Al-Khawalish is about 50 kilometers west of Gharian, the last city in the Nafusa mountain range, which runs east from the border with Tunisia and has been controlled mostly by rebels since the uprising against Gaddafi broke out in mid-February. As rebels scored military victories in the western mountains, their compatriots in the rebel-held cities of Mesrat and Benghazi staged huge demonstrations to show their support. And Syria has drawn a strong condemnation for its deadly crackdown on protesters in the central city of Hama, with human rights campaigners hinting at the possibility of the country's leaders being tried for crimes against humanity. On Tuesday's attack in Hama killed 22 people and left more than 80 wounded as troops pushed through improvised roadblocks made by residents, according to human rights groups. As international condemnation piled on Syria, Amnesty International said a deadly siege in May in Talkalakh may have amounted to crimes against humanity as a result of deaths of protesters in custody, torture and arbitrary detention. The London-based rights group's report released on Wednesday said the attacks appear to be part of a widespread as well as systematic attack against the civilian population. And that's all for now. Thanks for joining us.